Hey, what's up YouTube? This is We All Juggle Knives and you are at Multitool Monday. In this episode I'm just going to talk about my recommendations as far as Leatherman multi-tools. If you're wondering where I keep my Leatherman arsenal of multi-tools, I keep it in this thing that I found at an office supply store, but it's getting pretty crowded in there, but it's a useful organizer. Now, just in case people don't know the names of all the Leathermans, alright, here's my bayonet. I will use this as a pointer. That's the Micra, the Juice CS4, the Juice S2, the Squirt PS4, the Juice XE6, the Style PS, the Sidekick, the Skeletal, the Rebar, the Wave, the Charge, the Super Tool 300, the Surge, and the OHT. Okay, let's start with the easy ones, the keychain stuff. You see my really beat up Leatherman Micra. The Micra is most useful for people who want a way to carry some small scissors. Right, particularly if you carry the Super Tool or the Rebar, which those versions do not have scissors. There is a Rebar with scissors, but the normal version does not have it. Oh, and the Leatherman Sidekick also has no scissors. So the Leatherman Micra is it's kind of a good complement to some of the bigger Leathermans. Now, as far as like a standalone keychain item, the Leatherman Squirt is really good because it has the mini pliers and mini scissors. And so does the Leatherman Style PS up there in the corner. I've also found that those two are good to carry with a small Swiss Army knife like the Cadet. Because the Swiss Army knife will give you, a better bottle opener, a can opener, and a really nice blade. And then you have like the mini pliers and mini scissors from the Leatherman. Alright, moving around to outside the US, there are a lot of countries where a locking blade is restricted. Alright, so if you're in one of those countries, the Leatherman Juice series is the way to go. And I've heard that the reason they made the blades shorter on those was also because some of those same countries have a length limit. Right, so a lot of my European subscribers, you want to check out the Leatherman Juice series. You see that corkscrew on the Juice CS4. Now, there are some countries where it's traditional to drink a lot of wine, like with your meals. So again, Americans wonder, why the heck is there a corkscrew there? There are some countries where that's a lot more useful than it might be in the US. Right? So, now of the Juice series, the most popular one by far is the Juice S2. And that's simply because it's the lightest, it's the thinnest, and it's got the scissors, a nice blade, and the pliers. Right, so you want to definitely consider that S2, unless you drink a lot of wine, in which case the CS4. And then also, if you just want everything like what we've discussed is the toolbox approach, you might want the 6-layer Juice. Okay, that's the older version. Basically, it's got 3 slots on each side, 3 longer slots on each side, right? So the largest and thickest Juice, nice little toolbox. They don't sell that exact one anymore, but they sell a new version of it, which I will include as a link. Alright, moving on to the budget category. This is a very difficult category for Leatherman because I just checked the prices right before making this video. And it's almost like they don't really have a lot of budget stuff anymore. The Leatherman Skeletal used to be $40. The cheapest version. Now that's a more expensive version, but pretend that's the basic model. Right around Christmas time you could get one for $40, which was a great deal. Now it's gone back up to $50. The Leatherman Sidekick, currently on Amazon, also around $50. The Leatherman Rebar, around $60 now on Amazon. And the black oxide version, around 70. Okay, this is really pushing the limit. Those used to be like their best budget multi-tools. I don't even know if I can call those the budget category anymore, but I'm going to assume that those prices will come down at some point. Either you can find them on sale locally, or, you know, when next Christmas rolls around, you know they're going to have sales. So, assuming that those prices come a little closer to earth, those three, the rebar, the sidekick, and the basic, cheaper model of the Skeletal, are my main picks for the budget category. Now, they do have cheaper stuff like the Leatherman Rev and the Wingman. The Wingman is decent if you can get it for a lot less than the Leatherman Sidekick. The Wingman is actually decent, though I don't really like the tool set. But if you can get a good deal on it, go for it. The Rev, I mean, I really don't like the Rev that much either. I would say save up for a better Leatherman. Yeah, so currently Leatherman is kind of crapping out in the budget category because their prices have crept up. You know, if you're really on a tight budget, you might have to go to another brand. It's no wonder with like the black oxide rebar being 70, it's no wonder people just save up a little more and maybe, you know, they go for the Wave or something. I mean, is that what they're trying to do, like drive people towards the Surge and the Wave? I think that's the effect it's having. All right, another category, the EDC category, everyday carry. Now, when I say something is EDC category, I mean that it's easy to carry. I mean, technically, you can EDC a frickin', you could say you carry an elephant, but it won't be comfortable, you know what I mean? So, when I say EDC, I mean stuff that's actually convenient to carry. Yes, I can carry an elephant, I'm just that buff now. Anyway, okay, so the Leatherman S2, Epic EDC, we've already mentioned the KEYCHAIN ones. The Skeletal, all its versions, it's very minimalist, it's fairly thin, fairly light. So the Skeletal, the Juice S2, and the Leatherman Sidekick, that's super popular for EDC. And I'm going to throw in the rebar because notice how much it's quite thinner than the Leatherman Wave, even though it's the same length, and it's way thinner than the Leatherman Charge. Right, so the rebar is actually pretty compact. Right, so those are my choices for EDC-friendly multi-tools. Alright, next is what I would call the toolbox multi-tool. If your main thing is having every single tool because you want to always be prepared for anything, even the unexpected, then really you want the Leatherman Surge. If you want the most tools, go for that Leatherman Surge. And the price is actually pretty reasonable for what you are getting. It's around $100, but you really are getting a lot for your $100. All right, so again, I'll include the Amazon link you want to pick up a Surge. All right, and in the category of like specialist and one-handed opening everything multi-tools, the OHT, I do recommend that as a specialist multi-tool. You know, if you try to compare it head-to-head in all the other categories, it's going to fare poorly because it's not in those categories, right? But before you prejudge it, I would urge you, go on Amazon, look at all the written reviews, look up all the reviews on YouTube, and read the comments. And pay special attention to all the people in the military or all the people who have technician and repairman type jobs that do recommend it, okay? It does fit in, it's just specialized, but it is the right choice for some people. All right, and finally, like a general recommendation, what if you don't own any Leathermans and you're wondering, like, what's the first Leatherman to get? I got two recommendations. One, the Leatherman Sidekick, if you're not really sure about the brand and you just want to try it out, Leatherman Sidekick. If you're a little more confident and maybe you have a little more to spend and you just want a good all-around multi-tool, like for a normal, average person, I would say the Wave. Now, people are going to say, why do you say the Wave when you said such good things about the Surge? Like, why is the Surge like recommended in the toolbox category, but now you're saying the wave for just like general everyday people if you're going to buy one Leatherman. The reason I recommend the wave for most people, it's a combination of being slightly less expensive than the Surge, but mainly being easier to carry. Now some people say, oh, but it's smaller, it's not as manly, it's not as tough. Multi-tools are never meant to replace a toolbox. They're meant as a backup or something in the field when you can't carry a whole toolbox. So just being big and huge and tough is not my main priority with a multi-tool. Just the ease of carry of the wave is going to be most convenient for most people. Now there are exceptions. If you have really big hands, for example, get the Surge. You know, obviously, if you have like huge size hands, then the Surge is kind of like your, your wave. Now the Leatherman wave does not have a reamer, but there are so many really easy to carry, like thin Swiss Army knives that can give you a reamer that that's not really a big drawback. Other than that, the Leatherman wave has a fairly complete tool set, right? And it's a lot less expensive than the Charge. What about the Charge? Well, the main difference with the Charge is the blade has better steel, right? So if you're a knife guy, you know about steels, you know that you want that steel instead of the other steel, but it's a lot more expensive. So again, that's kind of a specialist thing, but I enjoy mine. Okay, so I seem to have recommended every single multi-tool, but in different categories at some point, except the super tool. So I got to think of a use for the super tool. I actually really like the super tool. I find myself reaching for the super tool a lot, like just around the house. So where does it fit in? Well, basically it has a really nice tool set. It does not have scissors, so it's for people who want something that's simple, that's practical, that's uncomplicated, and you don't need scissors or you carry them in some other way. And it is less expensive than the Surge. So I don't know exactly what category to put it in, but I do like it, and I do actually end up using that super tool quite often. Yeah, that'll just be in some special category of coolness. Alright, well that was fast and furious, but why linger? You know, the basic message of this video is that they pretty much have something for everyone. Leatherman is very popular. I'd say probably a good 80% of the people I hear from prefer Leatherman as a multi-tool brand. The other 20% are kind of split, you know, maybe 10% prefer the Victorinox multi-tools, and the other 10% they like SOG and Gerber, usually just because that's what they first got. They just saw it in a store, they got one, they used it, so it worked for them. So yeah, Leatherman seems to be the big kid on the block as far as what people prefer, and for good reason. They just need to up their game in terms of the budget category. That's where they're having competition. Like with, sometimes you can get the Gerber suspension for $20. Now, when that rebar it was $70, you can see why people might pick the Gerber. So yeah, they need to make better budget options, but other than that, they're doing pretty good. They seem to have gotten a little complacent as a company. There has been some negative negative reactions to their latest announcements of what they're coming out with, because they just don't seem to be coming out with too much new stuff in the way of multi-tools. But so it goes. Many top companies do get complacent, and if there's not enough competition from other companies, they can often get away with it. So the blame is not all on them, because there's other companies that need to pressure them by, if one company is just sitting on its laurels, other companies are supposed to fiercely compete, right? That's how the competition is supposed to work. So we're going to wait to see if that happens. In the comment section, you can leave a note, what's your favorite Leatherman and what do you use it for? And check out the links because they do help support the channel and keep Multi-Tool Monday rolling. Alright YouTube, well this has been We All Juggle Knives and Multi-Tools. I'm out.